So I want to tell our viewers first about the methodology used by C-Voter in this political stock exchange tracker for us. So a sample size of 2,215, margin of error is about 5%, and field dates are between the 7th and the 10th of June. So this is a long-running tracker that we have with C-Voter, and we ask people questions which we think are important that week. And I'll take the first question from this week's tracker of the political stock exchange. Can Prime Minister Modi handle the compulsions of a coalition government? So let's take you through the responses to this question and show you what voters and respondents in this India Today poll really have to say. So you look at the divergence between those who are NDA voters, where three-fourths of the respondents say yes, he can adapt, and amongst India Alliance voters, 47% say he may find it difficult, whereas amongst the NDA voters, many more say that he can adapt. So far fewer believers amongst the India Alliance voters and far fewer naysayers amongst the NDA voters. That is quite along predictable lines. Will he be unable to run? Only 5% of NDA voters think he'll be unable to run, whereas 22% of the India Alliance voters think he will be unable to run. So if you just look at the overall percentages, I think is really where the meaning comes out. 52% of the overall respondents think yes, he can adapt. 30% say he'll find it difficult to adapt. 13.5% say he cannot adapt. 4% say they don't know. But 50% saying yes, he can adapt. 3 in 10 saying he may find it difficult. Let me introduce you to some of the guests joining us for this week's edition of the Political Stock Exchange. I have Harsh Gupta Madhusudan, author of A New Idea of India. Amitabh Tiwari is an election analyst and researcher. Shankar Iyer joins me, political economy analyst and author. Sanjay Jha is with us as well. I want to go across to Amitabh Tiwari first, because you got a situation where 50% plus respondents, 52.1 say yes, he can adapt, because Prime Minister Modi is oftentimes proven his detractors wrong. How will he do foreign affairs? You know, he showed he can do it. Oh, he's got a provincial Gujarati mindset. Can he run India? He showed he can do it. So I think on balance, in response to this question, the majority of respondents seem to think, yes, he can adapt to the compulsions of a Modi government, Amitabh.
Yeah, almost 52% plus people or respondents agree that Modi can adapt because to the demands of the situation and can run a coalition government. Of course, the numbers are tilted towards the NDA voters 3/4, whereas 1/4, only 1/4 of India voters feel that he can adapt. But if you see, even amongst the India voters, less than 1/4 people feel, or respondents feel, that he will be unable to run the government. So not a significantly higher proportion of people, even amongst the India voters, feel that he will not be able to run the government. Still, the numbers are, you could say, 52 overall say he can adapt, because he has the administrative experience as a CM and a Prime Minister of running governments, not coalition, but he has run governments. And he also, see, it is all about sharing a personal rapport with two key people, which is Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu. So we've seen that on the global stage, he does share a great rapport with global leaders. So probably he just needs to replicate that.
Also, Harsh, you know, often we've seen Prime Minister step up to the plate and prove his detractors wrong. You know, those who said, okay, what does the Chief Minister know about foreign affairs? He doesn't have that much international exposure. He's never really studied abroad. What does he know about the economy? During COVID, they said, open your purse strings or your economy will be doomed. He kind of kept things tight. Now everyone acknowledges that that was the right point. Harsh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
I can hear.
So I'm saying he's proven his detractors wrong in the past, and now a majority of the respondents in the C-Voter sample seem to suggest he can adapt to handling a coalition government.
Rahul, I'm sorry, I was unable to hear the question entirely. There was some background noise. Let me just respond to what I heard. I absolutely agree that he'll be able to prove his detractors wrong. Remember when he became the Prime Minister for the first time in 2014, everybody was saying that foreign policy would be his weak suit. And we all know that he proved his detractors spectacularly wrong. In fact, India has managed to balance relationships with, for example, the Arab Gulf countries on one hand, Iran to some extent on the other hand, and Israel. Some of the closest allies of Prime Minister Modi are today from the Gulf states, MBS and MBZ. If you went by conventional wisdom that Muslim majority countries or Muslim sultans would not be friendly with the prime minister, that was obviously completely wrong. Similarly, he's handled the Russia-Ukraine crisis very well while remaining friends with the broader West, but also openly admitting about the strategic relationship that India has long held with Russia. So compared to those very complicated figures, I don't think domestic political machinations will be a huge problem. We saw that the Prime Minister was at Chandrababu Naidu's inauguration today in Andhra, and it seemed he has shared a very warm rapport. We must also keep in mind that Nitish Kumar, Prime Minister Modi, and Chief Minister Naidu, they're all in their 70s now, and all of them are looking for legacy issues right now. So the push and pull of coalition politics and ek dhakka aur do or ek bar aur khich lo, while I'm not saying that's completely gone, all three figures are in a phase of their political career where they want to leave something tangible behind. So let's not completely discount that aspect and be completely cynical.
Okay, I want to come now to the question of the expectation from the 100-day plan of the Modi government. Everyone has their own expectation. They've seen, they've processed, distilled this verdict. What expectation do you have from the 100-day plan of the Modi government? Let me take you through the responses to this question and see how different kinds of voters really line up on this question. So if you look amongst NDA voters, 24% want inflation to be controlled, 35% want unemployment to be dealt with, 8% think fuel is a big idea, government hospitals is 16%. So that's the thinking amongst NDA voters. Amongst India voters, 29% want unemployment to be dealt with, 14% want fuel prices to be slashed, 20% want inflation to be controlled. If I look at the overall sample here, 31.4% in this C-voter sample think unemployment and a policy to deal with the youth, to create jobs, needs to be the number one concern, with inflation at 23 coming in as the number two concern. So if you look at the big picture there, Shankar here, dealing with the issue of unemployment, having a policy for the youth, I think that seems to be the central thrust of our sample, saying treat this as priority number one in your 100-day plan.
Well, it's not surprising, is it? The Mood of the Nation poll of India Today has flagged this issue of unemployment consistently for over 2 years. And this is something that I think you have discussed on Political Stock Exchange quite a bit, and Yashwant will sort of give out the numbers if he has the tracker on this. His tracker must have got the historical picture on this. The question always, Rahul, is how do you deal with what you heard at the campaign? And in the campaign, there is no doubt that unemployment has been a big issue. The erosion of margins and the erosion of seat count shows that there has been issues. Wherever there has been distress, both agri distress or youth unemployment has sort of popped up on the final outcomes. So the question about unemployment is really how do you rejig the economy to create jobs? How do you sustain jobs? And in this, there is the immediate and the legacy issue, which is much of the reforms that need to be done are vested in the state governments. The BJP rules over 12 states, and they have not exactly been proved to be the model states that Mr. Modi created in Gujarat. And the second part of it is agricultural distress. So the center withdrew the law on farm reforms. Did the states adopt it? I don't think so. The third part is that we have a futuristic challenge ahead of us. India's largest exports are services, IT services exports. India's largest private sector employer is the IT sector. AI is impacting already, it's visible, these two factors. How does the government look at this? How does the government address this? Those are the issues that people want addressed. There is a definite anxiety about the future in the economy, particularly in the 18 to 35 age category, which seems to have for the first time moved away a bit from the BJP in the exit poll data that Pradeep Gupta had put out. So I think the big question, whether he is able to manage a coalition or not, Rahul, is about how he deals with issues and the proof of the pudding is in the eating.